ladies, and welcome to another episode of In Her Purpose Show. This is a platform where we feature female game changers who have paved the way on succeeding their goals and continue to inspire at the same time. I am your host, Mafe Yunan Velasco, and this show is very close to my heart because I am able to learn and grow weekly with two amazing women who are the founders and also authors of the In Her Purpose book and company. So honored to introduce to you all the amazing duo. First, we'll start with Jen Redondo Marquez, who is a game changer herself, working in the tech world and serving as a mentor for Collective Hustle and Filipino Americans in Silicon Valley Tech, FASTA. And of course, Rose Buado, mother of two, businesswoman, mentor to young women entrepreneurs, inspirational speaker, and manager of the Philharmonic. Hello, ladies.
Hi, Mafe. How are you?
Good, good, good. Good to see you, Rose.
It's
Is
good.
Jen here with us?
I don't know. Oh, she's offline. Oh, here she is. Hi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good, good, good. Another amazing episode that we have here because we have another special guest. So let me introduce her. Today we have the amazing Victoria Herrera, also known as Vickie. Vickie is a writer, brand and content strategist, and entrepreneur based in Asia. She is currently head of partnerships for Kumu, a social media app and tech startup in the Philippines, with a focus on live stream content. And of course, we have to plug that we have hello to the Kumu community that is the show also streaming on. So, guys, be inspired and let's welcome Vickie Herrera. Hi, Vickie.
Hi, everyone on Kumu. It looks like she may be offline, but will be on soon or shortly.
Well, that is the challenge of live streaming, and I know we were talking offline with her that in the Philippines sometimes we have that challenge. So, anyways, ladies, how's everything? The In Her Purpose marketplace is doing well.
Yeah, it's doing great. I'm having a great time. We're promoting other women-owned businesses, and we're just here to help people or support people in their little businesses. And we're really excited. I'm wearing earrings right now from the shop.
Ah, I love it.
Yeah,
Check it out.
I
On the website right now. Currently, Jen and Rose is featuring, of course, ladies who are a part of their book with their products, and it will be such a great idea for you all to check it out and perhaps maybe purchase a product for your loved ones, especially this season. It's Christmas, and it's at the comfort of your own home, shopping in your, in your couch. There she is. Hi, Vickie.
Hi, ladies.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
Don't worry, we've got the whole live thing going. So even
It's the internet. I swear it's the internet. The past few days have been so hard, but I'm here trying to connect. So, yeah.
It's
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
Is that good? All right. Just making sure. Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I moved. I put on a jacket. I was ready to hit the street to just try to find a better signal. Praying to the signal gods. Yeah, I was just ready to hit the road to make it to this live stream. But thank you for having me.
Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, we're really happy to have you on today's show. I know we connected through Kumu, but I personally have been following you for a while now, and you've done so many amazing things from Talk Asia to Next Theory and theoretically speaking, and now working on Kumu. So I would love to hear all about your background and what was your inspiration for all these ventures that you've just been doing.
That's a very long story. So let's pray to the gods that will last. So basically, I grew up. Well, I was born in Long Beach, California, and I moved to the Philippines when I was young. And then here in the Philippines, Oh, I actually moved here first. My siblings used to live in the States as well. And then when they finished school, they all moved here. And then they got into the industry here. So they got into everything from fashion to nightlife, um, everything, like music, everything. So my siblings at the time, maybe, before I was 10, all I saw was their influence of being a creator. And when you see that at a very young age, I think that kind of makes you think that anything is possible. It instilled in me a belief system that you can create your world and you can create your life. Um, and I thought that was normal, that everyone thought like that, by the way. I thought that was a normal thing. And then um, I grew up just always wanting to, well, first off, I was the youngest of five. So I was always very jealous when they would, go to the club and I was underage and I couldn't hang out with them. I was like, that puppy who's just like following all the other siblings, like Mafe knows. Like I was that sister, and parang I was always like semi jealous that they were doing cool stuff and I couldn't, right? And then when I got older, when I was more of a teenager, I was like, I want to join like this world, and I started freelance writing for magazines. And I was so young. I feel like the editors were just like, okay, well, she's a sister. Like, just give her something to write, right? Just give her something. And I remember, I swear, like my very first writing assignment was like fashion horoscopes. It was like, if you're a Gemini, get 2 of this, right? And I thought that was the coolest thing because someone gave me a chance. Like, yes,
I think that's the coolest
it
thing.
is. When you're in high school, like you go to school, you're like, yeah, I'm a published writer. And then you're like, where? I'm like, at the back of the magazine, right? That's me. That's my name. It's like, what did you write about? I told people to buy, this matching earrings if you're a Gemini, like just something really light. It was Poppy. Like it was like really not impressive, but to me it was. And I think
And
at that
me, I'm
time,
very impressed.
and you. So when I tell people these stories, I'm like, no, that's where it starts. Like it starts from that thrill of just creating something and doing something. And then it kind of snowballed. Like I got my foot in the door through my brother, but of course it's up to you to stay in the door, right? Like stay in the room. So I had to just I just kept my relationships with the editors. I would always message them. I'd be like, hey, I think this is a great story. We should write about this. We should write about that. Can you imagine like a 16-year-old just always like, I don't even think there's no social media, so it's obviously via text, like on a Nokia or something, like something really old. I just remember that. And I would really bug them and say, hey, can I visit your office? Can you meet me in Coffee Bean? I have a story for you. Thinking that it was the coolest story, but really it was like looking back, like that was not cool. Um, but I think that like the passion to have stories was just there. And that was something that I was learning from my siblings. Like if you have an idea and you're really passionate about it, you can message people and, pitch the idea. So that started. And then I got into very shortly modeling industry for a while, learning the ropes there. And then I worked for my sister's magazine, Status, because by then knew how to write. And it wasn't just horoscopes, ladies. I could actually write. I graduated, so I could actually write feature articles. And then I became a features editor for her magazine. At the time, it was called Status Magazine. And at the time, it was around over a decade ago when we were doing it. We kind of were looking at what, like Vapors magazine was doing in the States, Complex, Nylon. We were like, that's so cool. There's nothing in the Philippines. Let's do something like that here. And then I was one of the earlier people on her team. I remember the stories I would write would be like, Shepard Fairey, Jose Parla, Fafi. Like those were the artists I was writing about, but writing about it here in the Philippines, and no one knew who they were because we had no exposure to that, and we had no streetwear at the time. And then when I was working with my siblings, Matthew knows this, my brother wanted to get into streetwear at the time. At the time, he was running a nightclub called Embassy, and he started it, and then he was also DJing and throwing all these nights. I would always see like all our friends there. And then my brother wanted to get into streetwear, and he met this guy called Meng. He lives in the States, and he started a brand called Grey One. Grey One, yeah. So John met Jerry in the States, and then they got along, and then John goes, "Hey, do you want to like bring this to the Philippines?" And then they're like, "Okay." So my brother and my sister started a store called Grey One Social, and it was one of the earliest stores of streetwear in the Philippines before streetwear even took off. And just seeing them build that brand even but my siblings are very hands-on. So if I said anything from like the magazine to the streetwear store to the club, they just didn't start it and leave it. They were actually very hands-on, and that's something I always saw being role modeled when I was younger. Like anything my mom did, she'd always be there. She'd always look at things. My mom used to have a bakery in Long Beach. She'd be so hands-on, and it's the same work principle that my siblings had. So if it's at the club, John would check on every guest. He would check on every table. He'd make sure that all the DJs he talks to are okay. Rosario would check every article. She also used to style, so she would make sure like, nothing passed her eye. And then, I was learning that growing up. So my whole life, that's just what I was exposed to. When you think of an idea and you start it, also be there to grow it. Also put your passion into it. Like, don't just, abandon it. Make sure that, if you're going to lead something, also nurture it. And that's something I really picked up from them. And that's just how I was raised, right? And then if you girls are still with me, because I could be talking, and stop me anytime. Stop me anytime.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm like learning.
Okay. Yeah. So when I was in my early
Did we lose? Or is it me?
Here,
I think we
Vickie.
lost.
But my gosh, I'm like hanging to hear
I
what she is
know.
about
I
to
was
share.
like, it's a cliffhanger. Got me.
What's such a small, crazy world is so Rose and I grew up in SoCal, and we knew Jerry. So when she,
it's such a small world.
Such a small world. We've never met anyone in their family, but we know Jerry.
But no, like what Vickie was sharing, I did witness the Herrera siblings are just, they take action, whatever they put their mind into, and they were the people I also admired, from Teresa and then Rosario, and just being a model at the time too. They were the ones behind the scenes. They were the ones, are making things happen. And I was like, I love this family. This is want to build with my kids. And until now, of course, Vickie's story. She's a game changer right now, being like you, Jen, female in the tech industry with Kumu, and that's something that I actually wanted to ask her about too.
Yeah, I want to know what brought her to the Philippines at
me too.
And why was she the first? So I kind of want to know more about that. And I love the work that she's doing in the Philippines, how she's kind of like bridging the mainstream or like the pop culture of what the U.S. is going through and what the Philippines is going through. It's such a great cause, and you could just tell by the way she's talking. She's very passionate about it, and she has a lot of purpose. So I'm really glad that we were able to talk to her, even if it was just for a little bit. Hopefully, she'll be right back on.
Yeah, I know we have so many questions. Like,
I know. We started with the first question. But she's amazing.
Sorry.
They're all amazing.
This sucks. I really hate the internet right now. I'm like cringing every time I get cut off. I have like low-key anxiety. I was like, please work with me. But yeah, I'm back.
So we left off when you were sharing about Grey One Social, right, ladies?
Yeah. So, okay, so that was all happening. I was growing up. I was watching my siblings do all of that. And then I don't know if you have this, but in my early 20s, I was in the industry. I was known as being their sister. I was, having such a great time, but then something happened and then I hit rock bottom. And then I was just so unhappy with everything, which I don't know why. It was just like that moment of depression. And I experienced that really, really early. And I was also like, there's something off, even though everything looks great on the surface. I'm just not happy. And that was a really tough conversation I had to have with my mom, because I didn't want her to feel like I was so ungrateful, right? And you never want your family to feel like you're ungrateful for everything they've helped you with. But there was something that I was like, I'm not happy. I don't know what's going on, and I need to figure this out. And then I decided to step back from the industry, and I disappeared. And I was around 22 at the time. And first it started like, I stopped going out, and then I stopped, doing some social stuff. And then I think that was around the same time. I forgot to mention this. I got signed to a radio show with Sarah, our friend. And I was doing that for 1 year, and it was so hard because our show was all about positivity and happiness, and we even had a life coach. But behind the scenes, I had so much struggle because like I had to act happy on air, but I was struggling so much. And anyone who knows me, they know I really am naturally happy, but it was a time where I felt like I was faking it for so long. And then Sarah knows, and she was always there. She was helping me through things. And then I'm crying because I'm just remembering that time. And then after that, I was like, okay, the show ended. We released our final project, and then I just told everyone here. I said, "Hey, I need a break." And then I took time. I took time off, and then I lived in. Well, I moved countries, and the closest country here is that I could move to that I knew I could kind of adapt to was Singapore. So I moved to Singapore. At the time I moved in with someone that I was dating there. We both moved there together. And then I lived in Singapore for 2.5 years. And then after that, I moved to Hong Kong for 2.5 years. And I was out of Manila basically for 5 years, right? And when I was out of Manila, I got to see the world differently. And that sounds so weird for some people. Like, what do you mean? I was like, no, you don't understand. Like my bubble was Manila. Like I only knew what was happening in the Philippines and Manila. And then when you live in other countries, you become more humble. You know what I mean? Like you're like, oh my God, it's bigger than this. Like it's like even just seeing how events were done overseas, or how the tech industry was done overseas, or how everything, how trains would run overseas. You're like, what do you mean the trains come on time? That's crazy, right? Or even like how you saw internet would work overseas. You're like, what do you mean there's no delay? And I would ask all these questions to my friends who live there. I'm like, wait, you mean like you're connected right away? I was like, for real? Like I was doubting them. Like they were lying to me that things worked, right? Or systems worked. So that's when I started to kind of see everything from systems to culture to industry, just how things worked in another Asian country. And then after that experience, when I moved to Hong Kong, it was just like a different energy, because Hong Kong has, it's just more fast paced than Singapore. And that's when I started to get into marketing again, but I didn't want to be in front of the camera. I really started getting to more brand building, just a lot of brand launching. And I formed, when I was in Hong Kong, I was 27 when I moved there till I was about 30. I started to do, what did I do in Hong Kong? Well, I went out, not gonna lie. I hit up Lang Kwai Fong a lot. I got into
work hard, play hard.
I mean, it's Hong Kong, baby. I'm not right.
I used to go there a lot for work, and I know very well.
Right? You're like, you just get swept into the energy of the city. Yeah, and I just saw how, like, I just started to experience just how things were in terms of the industry, and I was so inspired. And I got back into life coaching again, I remember, because I was doing life coaching when I was doing the radio show. I was learning about it. And then when I left the country, I was just, like trying to heal in my own different ways overseas, everything from going to like yoga studios to taking workshops overseas for 5 years. And then I got into life coaching again right when I was around 29. And then I was just super inspired. And I just said, hey, this would be so dope if it were for women. And then you can kind of see where this is going. So Hong Kong was like my brand building. I started Next Theory. I was like doing all this stuff. And then I discovered life coaching. And then I said, yo, this would be so dope. But like for women, because I feel like women, like there's so many things that we go through that we don't talk about, especially in the Philippines. And it was like a throwback to everything I was experiencing when I was 22. Like I had no role models. No one was talking about these things. And I just wanted to do that. And I kind of was talking to my younger self who was just so lost and so confused. And it was just at a point where like everyone was valuing these things that I never gave a shit about. Sorry. It happened again. I got cut off.
No, you're good. You're good. You're here. Can you hear us? Oh, she probably did before anything. Okay, now I have more questions. Here she comes. I'm waiting anxious or patiently.
I think maybe Vickie can answer that, because I do remember her leaving, and I would always try to keep in touch with her and ask her, when are you coming back? And I didn't know she was going through that. But it's nice that she can be honest about her feelings. Yeah. I mean, looking back also, like when we were 20, I mean, we didn't really know much, but we thought we did, right?
Right.
And knowing what we know now is like, gosh, all the possibilities, of like career opportunities. But I guess it just comes with getting wiser. Just knowing, because I had older mentors or older friends, and I always was always curious. I was always asking a lot of questions. They probably looked at me like, what's wrong with you? Just go have fun, But, just what Vickie's sharing, she did experience the world on her own. And there is that sometimes, challenge being stuck in the bubble in Manila. I mean, Jen, you are out here. It was us, right? Luckily, we all had an experience of living outside of the Philippines. So we kind of had a similar experience, but sometimes it can be draining, but you have to just explore other communities or stay in touch with your upbringing. I mean, for me, that was my always go-to. I just made sure, okay, my family was rooted in Australia. I had this background, this personality. Yes, I will adapt to the ways in the Philippines, but I'm not going to change, me as a woman. And Vickie, go for gold. It's okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm like always.
I just think it's so crazy that you guys just like straight moved countries. It's not like, oh, I'm going to move from LA to San Francisco. Like you guys straight moved from like Australia and the Philippines to Singapore and Hong Kong. That's like crazy, Victoria, guys.
Yeah. When you went to Singapore, Victoria, did you know what you were going to do out there? Or were you just like, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to go out there and I'll figure it out. Or did you have something lined up already? Or like, how did you proceed?
No, and this is only something you can do when like you're like not thinking, right? And not planning. Because I was like 22, 23. So I read The Secret, okay? And I just told my mom, I was like, no, I'm going to manifest this. And
I believe that.
Yeah. And I read The Secret when I was 19, when all of this was happening. And I got so into law of attraction and doing the vision boards and writing things down. And I just, willed things into existence. And I still study that. I still watch YouTube videos of law of attraction and everything. And at the time, I can't explain this, but something was also telling me to go to Singapore. I started to hear, whether they call it like the universe or a download or like your inner voice. I was guided. And not everyone understands that because they always think that I'm just reckless, right? But at the same time, I'm like, no, it feels fine. Like I don't feel afraid. Like this is a wrong idea. I go, and something about it, even when I made the decision, even when I moved there, even if I didn't know what every day would be, there was a quote in The Secret that said, like, you don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like my philosophy for 5 years, because I wasn't like at 22, yeah, I'm going to start Next Theory. I'm going to start She Talks. Like that was not even in my mind. It was when I was 22, the only thing I wanted to do was feel better. I didn't care. I didn't care about modeling. I didn't care about the club. I didn't care about anything. I just wanted my soul to feel better. And at the time, the only thing I could hear was like, you need to get out and you need time off and you need space, because I'm not this person and I don't want to be in this. At the time, even before social media, right? It was like, there's something not right. And I don't want to attach my value and validation to these things because this is not me. And I looked crazy because I just walked away from a lot. And then I didn't want to seem ungrateful, but I just had to take time off. So I remember like I stopped tweeting, I stopped going out. And then when I moved to Singapore, I just liked the silence. And I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, but I would just be in a coffee shop and have coffee, and I would just enjoy the fact that I couldn't hear, like it wasn't noisy anymore for me. You know what I mean? It felt peaceful, and I needed those moments of peace, and I needed solitude and quiet time. I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me heal. That was like my beginning of my healing journey. And if you want to be like real, I really got into, because I was exposed to a different culture, I started to meet different circles. And when I tell you like this rabbit hole of like manifestation, healing, all of that started like opening up. Like I started to see like the numbers everywhere. I started to see workshops on like everything from chakras to angels to the universe. I just went into that journey for 5 years, everywhere from Singapore to Hong Kong. Even when I moved to Hong Kong, I would still be like looking like, hey, are there any like healers on this or past life regression? Like I started getting really into this whole world. And, you know, I just started to understand a lot of things about myself, truly about me, that wasn't based off of an identity that was carved for me. And then that's when I started to understand my voice and what my voice means to me and what my truth is for me, not as someone's sister, not as someone in the industry, not as someone who like whatever, you know. I was like, okay, who am I? And then what do I really want to do? And then that was my 5 years. That was like nothing was posted online. No one knew I was going through this. No one knew I was going through all these transformations and healing journeys. And this is like one of the first times that I'm really like talking about it, because I feel so comfortable now talking about it. Definitely before I felt like, oh, if I said this out loud, I would get all this judgment, and then I can't post my crystals online. Like there's so much I was like, there's so much I was hiding from the world because I just thought they wouldn't accept me. And then now I just feel more free that I can express myself and really me, not like, oh, this is the perfect version of me, right? Like, this is great. Anyway, I'm rambling because I'm semi-nervous that I'll get cut off. So I'm like,
no, you're doing great. Okay, so tell us, were you able to actually go through the transition and find yourself and, live in a purpose that you're maybe now?
Yeah, I would say towards my late 20s No, I'm only 33, so it's not. I mean, come on, girl. wasn't that long ago? I sound like I'm all wise and like no.
But, I mean, you are. You started at a very young age. You started at 16, when a lot of people like me, I didn't even know at 16 what writing was for people, or how do you write on a magazine, or so you started at a very early age. And there's a lot of people like right now who started feeling what you're feeling when they're like in their 40s. So you do have a lot of experience,
Okay.
and I'm so like, I'm glad we were able to talk about it. So yeah, tell us like from that 5 years of you learning and finding yourself, was it what, or like, do you love your outcome right now, and are you living in your purpose?
Absolutely. It all culminated the past 3-4 years, especially when I moved back, because say I discovered who I was better, I was able to peel off certain masks when I was overseas, like identities that were built when I was younger that I just kind of deconstructed when I lived overseas. But then when I moved back, that was another challenge because people knew me from before.
Mm-hmm.
And people were still pushing an identity they knew of me from what they've experienced before. They never witnessed transformations. They didn't want to have conversations. So I felt like in some way, when I moved back, it was that challenge to express myself to people who knew me, who grew up seeing me, telling them, just anyone who's just trying to be themselves, and feel okay and not judged and pushed aside because you don't fit their image of you anymore, right? So in the last 4 years, especially when She Talk started, and especially when I started pursuing life coaching more seriously, and when I did Kumu, I got a lot of judgment, which happens a lot in the Philippines. Mafi knows that. And just some toxic people. I mean, there's people out there that just don't like you, okay? Like, what can I do? But when I started to really commit to myself that this is who I am, this is what I want to do, it may not fit your definitions, but I love it. That's when I really started to feel more whole, that I wasn't acting, okay, I'm going to be this for this, I'm going to be this for that. I was like, no, I started to feel more whole and everything started to really come together. So everything I learned in Next Theory, I just applied it to Kumu. Everything I learned in She Talks, I also integrated into Kumu, and vice versa. Next Theory, I put into She Talks, right? All of that. Like, I kind of created my own ecosystem. So now people don't know me as, oh, Vickie from Status and Grey One and Embassy. What happened in the past 4 years of, oh, Vickie from Kumu and She Talks and Next Theory. And those were things I actually built from or I was a part of building from my energy and my soul and my passion. And like, it was really my thumbprint, and that's where I feel like coming into your own and really wanting to follow what you hear. Like, so remember I told you I would hear and I would have this guidance when I was younger. And when I started following it, I was walking away from a lot of things and a lot of other people's expectations of me. I was listening to that voice more than what I would listen to other people wanting from me. I had to disappoint a lot of people as well along this journey, who are probably still disappointed in me that I did, like bend to their will, but like, whatever. That was my journey, right? Like, not being that people pleaser anymore. And when I started following that, I just said, it started from life coaching. So I said, okay, life coaching made me want to help women. It made me want to heal and talk about things because no one talked about these things when I was 22 and I was depressed. And it started there. And then funny enough, the guys at Kumu found me because of She Talks. Like, they saw the videos we were posting online, and then I got connected to Roland and Angelo. And then 2 months after I met Roland and Angelo, or 3 months after, I got a DM saying, hey, do you want to join our team? It was through She Talks that how I got into Kumu. And then that's how I got into it. The early days, 2 years ago, the early days, it was like content creation, marketing, and that sort of thing. But also really protecting women in the live stream space. right? If we're going to go back to it, how can we empower women in the live stream space by making sure they don't feel exploited or harassed by people, right? So it was still part of the mission of helping women. It still was anchored on what I learned in life coaching. And this only happened in the past 3 and 4 years of this, what I call integration process. And it's the only time really this year I'm talking about it, because I don't know, I just never felt it was my time to talk about these stories. But now I feel more comfortable reflecting on the journey than before. Yeah.
I'm glad you're talking about it, and I'm glad you're sharing it with us and with the world, because there's so many people out there who may feel the way you felt like when you were 22, and this just helps them, know that there is, there's hope, and that there's a way out of it. Did we lose? Okay, I was like,
no, I'm still here. I'm like, okay, just praying, please.
Yeah, no, I just think it's such a great thing, and like your story and that's one of the parts of that's like one of our journeys, or our goals, is to be able to share other empowering women's stories, to share it to other people that may need it. They might need that just like little bit of hope from your story, and I'm so grateful that you're here to tell us about it. It's a very powerful story, and I'm so like glad that that we were able to meet here, and now you're able to share it with all of the community, and hopefully, and even if it's just one woman or one girl or one guy that you're able to help, I mean, that's all it is, right? That's perfect. That's all we need.
So. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it was a lot. I also was just like, I'm gonna say as much because you don't know when it's gonna get cut off. But I feel I just feel like, especially when it comes to like, I was always trying to fix myself. Like, I always thought, I had this belief system that there's something wrong. Why am I still hurting? Why am I so lost? I would try to read every book. I would try to like do every workshop, but then it's not. First off, like, I'm okay. I actually went to therapy, and they're like, you're not broken, and I had to undo that belief system that there's something wrong. And I had to really learn that, what if you just be and express yourself? And one of the workshops I went to was like, you're always trying to do, try to get more validation, so I feel like I'm good enough. And then they said, why don't you just be and like practice just expressing yourself and see how that feels? And that was really a shift from me, because especially when I was younger, I felt like I was always chasing validation. I was always trying to get people to accept me. I felt like everything was performance based. Like, for me to get this, I had to do all of these like song and dance numbers just to receive that feeling of worthiness. And I had to do a lot of that. And I don't want to be the cliche, like, just love myself, because that's also very hard when you like do the deeper healing. But it was really a 10-year journey, even 11 years now, right? I think some people think like, okay, 2 weeks of massages, I'm good. I mean, that's great. But for me, everything from going to therapy, workshops, journaling, getting to know myself, meeting people in different circles, like, this was all part of the journey, and She Talks wasn't born like, okay, one conference, we're gonna have a brand. It's like, no, the culmination of that conference was because 4 years ago I went to a workshop where I was depressed, and they were helping me, and that started to help me meet people and have authentic conversations with other women, which helped inspire me to reach out to friends, which helped us come together and then plan a conference. But the reason, everything is connected. And for us to judge a moment like that's the moment, you don't know, right? Like, you don't know what the next moment will lead.
Yeah, correct. I get where she's going with this. Ladies, so amazing what Vickie's sharing right here.
Yeah,
I know.
We didn't even have to ask any more questions. I mean, it's pretty much. We appreciate you, Vickie.
I feel like, we need to like have more conversations with her. Like,
Yeah.
I can listen forever.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, with you both and the workshops that you guys are doing, I mean, having Vickie as possibly a guest speaker and represent She Talks and Next Theory, it's very timely right now. We need more people sharing their stories that we're only human, you know. Her journey is so inspiring because she was in the limelight, you know, she was always in front of the camera and not, and we hear stories, right, in Hollywood, possibly even here, that sometimes, you know, being in front of the camera, that's not the real them, or what they're feeling is not truly what's coming out. And you know, it's unfortunate where lives are you know, being taken, but to be able to have a platform like your show and even what Vickie's doing, you know, just speaking from her healing, her life journey, it's very powerful.
Definitely.
Well, I hope we can have her jump back on, but if not, I'm sure you ladies are happy to invite her on again. You know, this is almost a conversation already, and she's shared so much.
Are there
Vickie,
handles that we can share for her? Her handles?
Yeah, so we have it on the ticker. I know it's Vickie Herrera. And again, you know, I think the support with Kumu, if you guys can, you know, just be supportive on what she's doing. She is the head marketing and also partnerships, I believe. And there she is again.
Hi.
Oh, good. Plugged you. And yeah, so Vickie,
okay.
would love to invite you on again. You know, an hour, 45 minutes is not enough. So I'll organize that. And for sure, you know, 2021 will be full of collaborations and possibly more conferences together with In Her Purpose show. So maybe you can share with everyone
where to find me. Did I hear that correctly? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so if you guys like this stream, just kidding. Subscribe.
The like button.
I'm on Instagram. You guys can follow me at Victoria_Herrera. Sorry, I just saw your handles now. I should have put that. It's at Victoria_Herrera. My name's here. I'm also on Facebook. I'm also on Kumu at Victoria_Herrera. I used to do a lot of wellness streams, but because Kumu got so busy with marketing, I had no time to stream except today. And yeah, I just want to say thank you, ladies, for having me. There's so, like, James raves about you guys, and I've always wanted to do something with you. I just never had time. So I'm just so thankful for this opportunity and for your invitation, Mafe. And if there's ways we can collaborate next year, let's do it, you know, not just in Kumu, but in She Talks and Next Theory. So just let me know.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I feel like it's just like the beginning. Like, how awesome would it be, you know, like all the things that we would do together. And when you got cut off, Rose and I were talking about how we grew up in SoCal and we've never met anyone in your family. Like, we know Jerry.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why
awesome.
We're like, oh. Yeah, it's like such a small world, and we've not met anyone in your family. So I thought that was like crazy.
It'll get smaller. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find connections later on. You know how it is in our communities.
Yes.
Yeah,
we're so excited. Thank you for being on. We really do want to do some more collabs in 2021. There's so much healing that's going to have to happen next year. You know, going through whatever time it is that we're going through right now. There are going to be a lot of people that need to be motivated and empowered and just to heal too. So we have to do something. We have to do something.
Including us. Including us.
All of us.
And it's something James always says. Like, we want to connect communities from everywhere because you know how it is from, like, Mafe, Australia, you ladies from the States. I lived in Singapore and Hong Kong. Like, there's Filipinos everywhere. Like, why aren't we connecting?
Exactly.
Like, why is there that distance? And that's something we've always wanted to do. So if we can do that more here in the Philippines and just have, connect it to the communities everywhere in the world, like that would be the dream.
Right.
That's the vision of Kumu.
Well, you guys are doing it.
It's happening. Is there anything as far as like what you're doing during this time, besides Kumu or the projects that you want to talk about?
So I guess apart from this interview, do find Vickie on Kumu also. So follow her handle. If we can still hop on there, depending on her, her internet, we'll ask her offline. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Everyone on Facebook, on Kumu, we appreciate you guys, and I hope you learned a lot. I mean, I know the ladies and I here, we learned so much from Vickie and her journey itself. I mean, at a young age, she's still very young, and now understanding how to empower other women, younger women that are also going through a similar journey, especially during this time, is very timely. I think where she was able to find the confidence and the courage. Right, ladies? I'm excited. I'm excited for In Her Purpose to collaborate with Vickie. Watch out for that, guys. Ladies, maybe you want to invite everyone to the In Her Purpose Marketplace again before we wrap up?
Yes. So everybody, we have our holiday marketplace. You can find different products made and or distributed by Asian women, empowered bosses who are doing their thing for the holiday. Find them and us at ihpshop.com.
And if you haven't yet, guys, check out the IGTV live that Rose and Jen did promoting the track. So I know while stocks are limited, so you better get yours so that you can also make your own creations. And I know it's so yummy. How I wish I can have that here in the Philippines, but soon. Okay, ladies. And this was an amazing episode. I'm so grateful for Victoria, for Vickie, for you both. So let's see offline if we can cool with her. But everybody, thank you again, and we'll see you for our next episode. I believe we still have one more until we wrap up 2020.
Yep,
right?
One more episode next week.
You are fantastic. You're doing such a great job, okay? I just want to tell you that.
Yes.
So much. So much more to inspire, that's why, so many people out there. Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.